Happy Friday, everybody. It is going to be a short show, fabulously. I have been helping my girlfriend move today. We are behind schedule, but it's going to be fun. And look at this fascinating work. New talent, left and right here. Artist Journal, July 7th, 2023. Broadcasting from the editor's desk on the pirate ship of the imagination in Berlin, Germany. My name is Adrian Pocobelli. Timing your intro to perfection. All in jest. Welcome back, everybody, and check this out. I mean, it looks like an AI artwork. I think the name is John Thurman. You can see the signature in bold down there. I just love this piece. And I think the reason why, and again, I believe it's AI. There is no. It's an obscure piece. I mean, there are 0 bids. There's 20 hours to go. Minimum bid is 1 Tezos. I'll bid, I'm sure. Probably I'm maybe adding competition, perhaps, by putting this out here, but I thought it was great. And The Shopper, what a great title. I was like, I don't even know what the title on this is, but I do love it. And I'll tell you, it's a great title, The Shopper. And what I love about it is a few things, is its artificiality, and it even maybe makes even more sense that AI made it. Maybe it makes it even better. But I was thinking in terms of the content, the artificiality of the environment. This is humanity completely divorced from nature. Whether it's the light, the food, the situation, like hunting for food with this piece of metal here with wheels on it. It is, there's something really special about this piece. As I, have said from the beginning of this show, sometimes works just hit, and this work just hits. At least it hits for me. And interesting kind of floor here too. The color is nice. And again, it's kind of just a portrait of all of us. I mean, who doesn't do this? And I like that universality as well. This is, in a weird way, this is what we've been reduced to. And even just like that ceiling, that dark ceiling, which is like half stage set and half just gloom. And then you see the light coming in here. Again, I think this is an AI artwork. It looks like an AI artwork. If this was painted, I would be pretty impressed, I would have to say, because then it's like this person composed this all themselves, which would be quite brilliant. And the food itself, finally here, the food itself is quite persuasive, and it's like one of those really big grocery stores. And I just think this is wonderful. There's a poetry here, and so it's a beautiful work. It's a poetic work. Again, I can't help but relate to it. So a nice, John Thurman, 0 XDZ, 0 Tezos is your bid, and just beautiful. So every day for a year, I will make a one-of-one piece related to a lesson I learned this day. So let me just very quickly look here. Today I went grocery shopping. The bright light from overhead threw my shadow upon the floor like a puddle of essence that had leaked out of me. So there's the shadow there. Will consuming my purchases restore what has been lost? About the series Every Day for a Year, I will make a one-of-one piece related to a lesson I learned that day. This will be minted on object and sold at a 24-hour auction with a 1 Tezos opening bid, the lowest the site allows. Unsold works will be burned. Well, I have my eye on this, and maybe a couple other people, if they're watching this. There's still 20 hours to go. So I'm going to put in a bid, but maybe I think it would be thrilling if John got a whole bunch of bids. I'd love to see more. I want to see a series of this. Great subject matter. And here's John's page. John Thurman, artist. And so, experimenting a lot. If you're making a piece a day, that's pretty cool. I'm really into this everyday sort of stuff. The gas is too damn high. And here, when was this done? July 5th. And there is the signature there and everything. So a gas station in the middle of nowhere. Looks like Independence Day. Kind of a really American scene, weirdly, I'd say. You could have a guess at that this is an American scene, particularly it's Independence Day with fireworks. Interesting kind of conflation of fire. It's like a Magritte-esque conflation of fireworks in a bright sky. Wouldn't that be interesting? Have you ever seen a fireworks display in broad daylight? There's your question.
It is Mission Impossible.
Another Mission Impossible. So it is always Mission Impossible here. I love those movies, by the way. I don't watch many movies, but I find those Mission Impossible movies incredibly inspiring. I need to watch Rocky. Anyway, TMI. Let's look at some of the comments here. Mick Renders, Cap'n has been on fire as always. I totally agree. Cap'n is really kind of, in the shadows there, is doing quite a lot of fun there. Yeah, it's so fun to see, Figments and otherwise. I agree. Cap'n is really going somewhere in the art space of what we're kind of seeing and discussing here. The watching piece is one of my recent favorites, and totally appreciate you showing it. So Mick had put that kind of pixelated, dithered CCTV camera, the quote-unquote inevitable CCTV crypto art, if you will. Haha, that is hilarious. So, yeah, and then also another important comment here. Also, the Polygon piece, Polygon 1993, that was divided into several sections, is a Yu-Gi-Oh! Reference to the 5 different pieces of Exodia, each its own card in the game, combined to create the most powerful card. So, yeah, so that was definitely lost on me. And again, thank you, Bettina, for the comments. And also, Ed Marola, Pixel Art Network, I love it. And so do I. So, yeah, this has legs, as I said in Ed Marola's feed there, live stream. This has legs because you could build a network. So, Ed, if you're watching this, I would say just keep putting stuff out, and I will keep putting stuff out, and we'll see where this goes. Let's see where this goes. And, other people were streaming. I think Andre Summer Blues. I mean, it's quite interesting. So the gears are going. I don't know what it all means, but a pixel art network is a glorious idea, isn't it? So I'm glad you love it too. And also, Bazaya, thanks for the shout out, amigo. The guy in the artwork is Ice Cube. Okay, another great episode. Thank you, Bazaya. And also, I think this is Bulls, the 91 Woods. Love your hidden oil painting collection. Thank you. Best of wishes. So thank you very much. And thanks to Clown Vamp for asking me to show those. Because, yeah, I was actually kind of surprised at the complexity. And, it's funny returning to your work after years and just kind of like analyzing it with fresh eyes. It's quite fun. So I'll just say thank you for the comments, everyone. So look at Ed here. And this is what I wanted to show here too. I mean, so this is, Pixel Art Network. We have Ed Marola Live. Maybe that's the name of that show, or the Pixel Art Masterclass. We can take our pick here. And look at this. And this, so Ed, let me just show you.
And you can customize your shortcuts. I use it, almost all of them as they come.
So, and there's like nice music and everything. So, a couple of things. First, this is incredibly cool. And Ed has released a new episode. So, if you're looking how to use Aseprite, it gets pretty advanced pretty quickly. And I'm still I'll save it for some weekend watching. I've just caught some, bits of this, but this is all I need to see in terms of knowing how amazing this is. And I mean, this is, when I saw this, the shortcuts, learn the shortcuts for Photoshop and for all your kind of desktop apps. It will completely change how you work, and it'll make it much funner. It's kind of like, that's something I learned in Montreal when I was a graphic designer 15 years ago. From the pros there, the pro graphic designers, is learn the keyboard shortcuts. And Ed, I mean, I'm not surprised. Here he is in episode 2. Here are your shortcuts. This is serious. This is someone who works in this program and is sharing how to do it. So pretty exciting stuff. Has a few more subscribers here. So all pretty exciting. This is my new favorite channel. And he has timestamps. Again, Ed, if you're watching this, if you put this in the description, then it will divide up the timeline here. Because I noticed it didn't work. You have to put it in the description, not just the comments. And for anybody else that's interested. I saw Walk post this Twitch thing, and I'm thinking, like, maybe Walk is thinking of doing streaming. And again, you can use Behance, you can use Twitch. So just kind of interesting. You know, it's kind of back to, I think I mentioned this last time, it's that Terrence McKenna idea, create your own roadshow. And this is turning into a roadshow. You know, so just all very interesting. And if anybody else is streaming out there, don't hesitate to message me and just, you know, send me a link. I think this is a hilarious kind of development that has come our way here. Polygon 1993, physicalizing these incredible digital art pieces. X3 holographic prints are available now, shipping worldwide. So let's just actually take a quick look. I didn't realize they're so interesting. Now, this looks digital, but maybe this is this a portrait of, how can that be? This looks like a digital file. So a little confusing maybe, at least for me. I mean, maybe you guys have it figured out. So I assume it's kind of like the lenticular print. I'm not sure what the difference is, but it's pretty interesting. 60 euros. So, and then you have different designs. So that is pretty interesting. So, you know, and this is another way of monetizing your views, because of course, look, 135,000. It's interesting. I'd be curious to know how many you're selling. You know, so smart move by Polygon 1993. You know, it's like Warhol. Good art is business art. Like doing good business with your art is an art in itself, and it's glorious. So continuing on, someone was asking if what's better, Tezos or Ethereum for minting. I basically said all of the above. Measureless was asking if I had any insights. I don't really have more than what I've already said, which is, you know, do both. Ethereum, you'll make more money, but you're not going to have as many sales. Tezos is more of a reliable money if you're making nice work, or if you're, you know, putting work that you're happy with that other people like. It's kind of a more easier sell because it's not as high, and then you do the additions, which can turn into just as much as the ETH work, right? Especially things have gotten pretty slow on ETH, as Unknown Collector was pointing out yesterday. So, you know, Uxine just put out a work on Tezos. So, you know, there may be method to that madness as far as what Uxine's doing. It's like, oh, now's a good time. So it's all of the above. And then also Santiago Itzicodal, who watches this show, consider BTC too. It has a new wave of on-chain tokens, and I have been looking at that. And we've actually, I mean, you know, ordinals, we were looking at putting the Peloponnesian War, but those files, they're 4 megabytes. And I just found out from the people I was talking to who kind of, you know, the team, one of the teams that kind of does these kind of ordinal type minting things, they said it'd be like $3,000 or $4,000 per work. So to mint it. So I'm not sure if the Peloponnesian War will work on BTC. It's a beautiful idea. But maybe you do so, but maybe like a pixel art type thing, and maybe that's why there's so much pixel art. So if you go here, if you can do a search, you'll find actually some great alpha from Santiago Itzicodal as to how to get started on ordinals, which is pretty exciting. I'll probably do that pretty soon. There's also something here I wanted to highlight at the end. So Santiago, my take is that beside the current state of the market, if you're interested in the history of crypto art and NFTs, you should definitely learn about Counterparty, Rare Pepes, etc. And yeah, I thought this was really interesting because I don't really have a particular, it's a whole rabbit hole, the whole Rare Pepes thing and Counterparty. And it kind of brought up this kind of interesting thought in my mind, because I think a lot of people, or some people, think I have pretty big gaps when it comes to crypto art, and I don't disagree. Like, I kind of come for what interests me, and for me, that's the art. And so I think rare pepes are really cool. They're kind of like trading cards for me though. Like I don't know if, and I think it's a debatable point, and I totally, if anybody feels otherwise, I'm not asking anybody to think like me. Let's put it this way. But I'm not sure that the rare pepes generally, like the Satoshi Nakamoto or the Mona Lisa, Pepe Mona Lisa, and all this. I'm not sure that they will be in museums for the art itself in 300 years. They might be from a collective. I think it's more of a collectible kind of thing. And again, feel free to disagree. It's very subjective. So this is why I'm not, because I think some people kind of wonder, why aren't you more into this other stuff? Because I'm not really, a crypto art person. Ironically, with this kind of blockchain NFT channel, I'm more of an art person that uses crypto. And I love crypto. I truly love it. It's like a financial video game, a noetic financial system, a psychedelic financial system. I think it's incredibly fun. It's very fun, crypto. But yeah, if people are I think sometimes people kind of wonder, like, does this guy know what he's talking about? He doesn't ever mention this stuff. It's because I find it interesting, and I'll probably go down that rabbit hole one day, but it's not necessarily what grabs me. And this is a journal where I just talk about what grabs me. And I'm totally cool and I think, and I brought this up too, because this also came up and I was like, this kind of relates. So Blackstar, can punks tell me about one technical innovation they did first? And this kind of illustrates the point. I was like, this kind of totally illustrates the point for me. Now, there are some, and people list some innovations that they did, maybe the first profile picture project on Ethereum with this kind of generative art. But I think the reason why CryptoPunks are famous is actually because of the art. Like, I think the reason why they're, sell for $1 million sometimes more is because the art is excellent. It's brilliant pixel art. And I think, so I think that's really important, is the actual art itself is what really drives it, because there's all sorts of stuff that's historical. And you could make the argument that a lot of the rare pepes, like, these are historical from a blockchain perspective, but I think it's more within the culture of crypto. Whereas interestingly, and remember Dmitry Cherniak, if you remember that show, he was kind of upset or not excited that his work was being shown alongside of CryptoPunks, or being sold alongside of CryptoPunks, I think at the Sotheby's auction, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe it was Christie's, I'm not sure. But I think these are actually totally legitimate, like, beautiful, brilliant art. I mean, you see it in the hair here. It's brilliant pixel art. Look at how cool this is. This is expertly done, this whole series, and even just the colors, this beautiful kind of purple sunglasses. So it's an interesting question. And just finally on this, not to digress too far in this episode, but I think Vincent Van Gogh recently had this post that said, if you're making art purely based on the aesthetics, then you probably need to work on your art. And yeah, it was a kind of maybe he was just kind of, I don't want to say clickbaiting, but just kind of, creating controversy. And probably what he meant was, if you're purely concerned with just making something pretty, but you're not concerned with the concept, then you probably need to work on the art a bit. Although aesthetics itself, I would say, when you call something aesthetic, if you're working just on the aesthetics, well, an idea can be beautiful, right? And you can make something that's purposefully ugly, but that's still beautiful. Because I guess at the end of the day, we are in the business of beauty, I would argue. Otherwise, what is this magical thing that we experience? What draws us back here? What inspires us? I would argue at the end of the day, even if it's a quote unquote ugly work, but if it's done in the right way, take Duchamp's fountain. I think that was actually listed as an example. Well, it's a beautiful idea. It's subversive. It's fun. It's beautiful, right? The idea. So even though it's using kind of quote unquote ugly aesthetics, a urinal. So all to say, I think the history matters here, but I think the real, at the end of the day, it's because they're beautifully done, is why these are worth a lot of money. So just a little, so yeah, so I start again with the art, and then the fact that it's on crypto is great, but it's not, that's why I show work from Instagram. That's not on crypto. I show physical work here too. So continuing, and very quickly, I don't want to go too far into this, but we did mention it 6 months ago or so. Punk6529 was kind of a seed investor, if I'm not mistaken, for Blur, and Blur has taken a lot of flack for perhaps, really hurting the NFT scene. So he finally responded. And if I had to sum it up, it was basically like, we invest in a lot of NFT projects, and this was just one of many. We have a team. Some people thought it was a good idea more than others. So a little bit of distancing himself, because I think probably there is increasing criticism now that you see Bored Apes down from 100 ETH, maybe $250,000 down to 30 ETH, $60,000. That is happening in the last year. It's quite something to see. So the NFT scene is really getting hit hard. And so I assume that's why he put out this very lengthy thread here. So if you're curious to just hear it, here it is, because we commented on it before. So I think it's important that we say, well, here's his response, and, give everybody a chance to respond. Dan Control. This is great. So remember we brought up I think the name of the book is Hallucinogenic Mushrooms by Richard Evans Schultes, the ethnobotanist out of Harvard, famous, academic really in the whole kind of the rediscovery of hallucinogens in Western culture. A very, very pivotal figure, along with R. Gordon Wasson. And they were starting to try and connect significantly the Eleusinian mysteries in Greece, those hidden secret mystery rituals, with hallucinogens. And they wrote a whole book on that. Was it called? I'll look that up. I can't even remember. It's been years since I looked at that. But all to say, this is hilarious. So Dan Control, thank you so much, Pocobelli, for mentioning our work. And yes, the Golden Guide was very helpful to us. I thought that was, just kind of accidental. But apparently that Golden Guide, they actually used it, especially during the project development phase. A big credit, of course, to Ricardo Maleo for the musical animations working together conceptually and creatively. And also, thank you, Pocobelli. We're so excited about this. The Golden Guide was a big inspiration for us, and it's amazing you notice that connection. Danilo's work is vibrant, iconic, and delicate, and it was such a wonderful creative collaboration. I agree. The power of collaboration in this series here is unmistakable. It's really impressive. Looking forward to seeing more. And also, Indio Robot, Rahi Miha is a dope artist and designer from Iran. And he has this sick collab collection where Daniel W. is latest collaborator. Make sure to check out the Pastelverse clowns too. They're feel-good art. And so this is where these clowns are coming from, because I remember looking at this one. And so this Pagliacci, the great Pagliacci, so that is why you're seeing the clowns. It is related to Rahi Miha, an Iranian artist. So thank you, Indio Robot, for the context. And also, finally, Retro Manny with a sketch. So we remember this completely awesome pixel artwork. And here is the background sketches. So I love it. Keep this stuff, Manny, is what I would say. Keep this stuff. And I'm sure you will, but put it somewhere safe. The original sketches for Retro Man Level 1 versus the final look. My pencil drawings be scrappy. Continuing on. Finally, good morning, internet friends. Strange thing. In the midst of chaos, let your desk become an oasis of focus. Absolutely. And Strange Thing is one of the hardest workers and hustlers in this entire space. And continuing on, so here finally is some art. Max Capacity, a really cool open edition, N0786. So just an exploding car here. 5 Tezos. Pretty nice work. I mean, just kind of, it's easy on the eyes, isn't it? Just kind of a beautiful, dramatic work here. And so, open edition, 5 Tezos, only 8 minted. So that is pretty good. Nice low edition so far. And continuing on, yeah, we're going to have to let these load every time, I guess. I don't know what happened to my computer. So check this out. Haiti Rocket. Check this out. I think he did a big GM. It's beautiful, isn't it? So we're kind of back to this idea of, artists making software, oftentimes with ChatGPT. I mean, maybe this is using, a lot of people are using this JavaScript or JS5 thing. I'm not sure how this was made. And then you just hit escape. And there's probably a way even to export or not. I guess there's no way to export. That's my request. How about an export? That would be amazing. So look at how cool it is, though. So that is by Haiti Rocket, and edition of 13. And let's just see what happened here. Sold for 137 Tezos each. 2,467. So making a cool 1,000 Tezos. Nice work. Rad Cube Brush from Haiti Rocket. Have a nice day. Wow. Nice. That's impressive. Don't pull the cartridge. Mick Renders. So nice and cheap, by the way. Edition of 30. And you see what I see. I see Nintendo glitch ROM processed here with, it looks like it's processed through like analog video glitch, processing, video processing. So again, we saw a little bit of this with LB previously. But this looks great. Again, like a combination. Don't pull the cartridge. Collected from physical hardware glitches on an NES clone console, exported in After Effects, GIF, and Photoshop. So it's a GIF too. So you can get that for 1 Tezos, and it's only an edition of 30. And there's 20 left. Wow. And here's a little write-up on it. New collection, 1,000 on Twitter special. I've been sitting on this footage and making a selection of GIFs from physical hardware glitches, cartridge pulling on a circuit-bent clone console from your favorite NES games, music by the amazing... Let's see if we hear. So almost a nice little preview here. So look at how beautiful this looks. So Mick Renders continues to dazzle here. So it's great to see, isn't it? I think it was Mick Renders who's doing the whole I'm experimenting with pixel art thing. So trying new things. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. Silva Santus with another cool glitch NES ROM, Runaway. And here is what looks like a little girl running away through a field with these beautiful glitches along the way here. And just very cool. 3 Tezos 50, edition of 22, and that's on secondary. So sold out at 2 Tezos. And let's see how quickly. Selling out really quickly. So that's interesting. Silva Santus is growing. The market is growing. And look at this gorgeous work here by Element Lee, so bold in its kind of quote unquote unfinishedness, and it's I find this Element Lee very consistently bold in playing with aesthetics and composition, and on the line of it almost not coming together, but it comes together. Like, it's brilliant. And this beautiful lamp here, just a really, really, really interesting artist here. And I just find it incredibly interesting. Desk. I mean, it makes me want to pick one up. 18 left, it was just minted. So I missed this. Tom Bombattle, Ray of Hope, so is now minting on Foundation smartly and selling too. I think this one was just minted, and there's the skeleton figure. So it's kind of back to this, all of the above strategy here. Different chains have different collectors. So, if I had more time, let's mint on Tezos, Ethereum, do a Manifold, do on Solana, I'd go nuts, And so just very cool. And it's also, if you have a ton of work, if you're very prolific, it's also a way of kind of spreading the work out a little bit. So just a very cool series. I love what Tom Bombattle's doing here with the light. We've seen it also with the train and maybe the UFO, this kind of theme. And here you see it with the sunlight. Beautiful scene here. And here's another one playing off of Van Gogh, and maybe it's an older piece, but I thought it was so beautiful and I'd never seen it before, so I thought I'd show it here. So again, playing off of Van Gogh's bedroom, and there's the skull robot guy and a robot serving him and all that sci-fi stuff. Really beautifully done. I think my favorite part is this pink here, as well as how it transitions to blue. Really just beautifully done here. There's something about it. Speaking of interesting and beautiful and experimental, Human Kernel. You can get these for 80 Tezos cents, this whole series here. This is Denny de Kujeb Sharo, who's also an artist on Tezos here. So just a cool kind of portrait here from Human Kernel, who does all these experimental PFPs and just all the nice little noise around here and everything. And then also, and Human Kernel, we see the works that look very, very similar to Santiago's works. So maybe this is a Santiago alter ego, Arlen Day. So what I love about this is I just bought all three, actually, because I'm a big fan of series. 80 Tezos, I got it for 2 Tezos 40 cents. I got this one. You can only get it for 7 more hours, though, if you're watching this same day here. And here's another one. So just get all three. And because as you see here, there they are. So they just go kind of beautifully together. It's a nice little series here and everything. So very cool. Another gradient from Not a Number here. And this one, another one of one. And this also looks like it's sold. Again, kind of reminding of Query Archangels, but a dithered version. It's beautiful. It's brilliant. And the colors are great. Pamelo Cerrone from Argentina, Cut Cat. And here, again, playing with this kind of really chunky pixels here, but then also contrasting that with this kind of textured paper in between. And cool little kind of GIF machines here, or whatever you want to call them. Just cool GIFs, cool GIF animation. These characters here. And this is an edition of 5, and it sold out at $7.77. So that is cool. Dr. Lee NFT there. And check this out. There is a magazine, KHC World Magazine #1. So we saw the merch yesterday with the t-shirts. So here is the magazine, what it is and what it isn't. A bad idea. KHC is an umbrella corporation. So we have a network, we have a corporation, and here they need their own show on this network, don't they? The Kurt Hustle, or they'll do the commercials. They'll do the commercials, where the commercials are as good, if not better, than the shows. Redeem tickets. Okay. At least this show, Cyber Slums and everything. So how cool is that? So there is your brochure, your magazine from the Kurt Hustle Collective and everything. So, and this beautiful, beautiful work at the end here, the 1997. Gorgeously done. Buy for 3 Tezos, edition of 50. There are 37 left. And also from the Kurt Hustle Collective, another play on Jimi Hendrix, the Kurt Hustle Experience. Are you experienced? With an X. And there it is, edition of 25 for 7 Tezos, only 7 left. And Morlacos back on the scene here with another cool piece, number 27, El Duelo Criollo. And this is for 5 Tezos, just minted today. Really nice piece as usual, really mysterious. I mean, these guys look like they're in the water, but it's green water and everything. And this guy looks on, just a really, really, really cool piece from Morlacos. Really nice color too. Fascinating composition. I'm a huge fan of Morlacos' work. I wish he'd put out a little more. I wish he'd put out a little more work. Rustic Digital Art, edition of 1 for 50 Tezos. Haven't seen Rustic for a while here. And this one's pretty experimental. Almost looking like almost cut out paper here. Almost, but not quite. In the way that these shapes are. And huge shadows here. And just another kind of hard to understand work from Rustic Digital Art. It's hard to just see what's going on. It feels like a room. There is some light, but again, kind of like purposefully irrational works from Rustic Digital Art, a 1 of 1 for 50 Tezos, inside outside, part of the cloud period. Maybe those are clouds. These could be clouds in this whole series. So pretty wild series there. Smonter with a couple of pieces. Lost in the City, edition of 10 for 5 Tezos. And here you see the graffiti and everything and just a figure walking through the city. Interesting little thing with the sidewalk, almost like that do not police, do not cross tape on the sidewalk. Interesting move. And here you see almost like internet iconography, the check X, and looking like a bus stop here. Interesting piece. And then you see like the chunky, window here. Almost feels like almost the future, but not sure. Interesting. Here's another interesting piece, Detective. And almost reminds you of Ezra Eslin here. There is a murder, and so this is the detective here. Almost like a Renaissance portrait. Always at kind of an interesting angle, Smonter's compositions. Like, what I think is maybe the most exciting part of this composition is actually in the top right. How he gets this crazy perspective and looking down. It's almost like the mystery and almost the madness of this scene is kind of reflected in the illustration itself. Put it this way, another way of saying what I'm trying to say, the illustration magnifies the intensity of this, crime, of what's being depicted. So more brilliant work from Smonter. I'm glad that Smonter is revving up the engines a little bit and really starting to release a lot of stuff. Diego Barro, a digital drawing on Procreate and iPad. So digital drawing with a pen. And again, kind of reminiscent of that art show that Diego's having, I think in Argentina, if I'm not mistaken. And here is a dog and a scene in the background. Almost looks like two different works, but not quite. It's probably, it's interesting. It almost feels like two different works put together, which would actually be really cool. Either way, I thought a really interesting composition, and I loved how finished it is on top and how kind of unfinished it is at the bottom, or loose, as my friend says. Edition of 5 for 2 Tezos, 3 are left. And continuing on, Sky Goodman with Mika Aladef, a new name here that I'm learning about. Crystal Chunk Pump, AI Heal by Sky Goodman, glitched by Mika Al-Hadef. So can you see the heel? Here is the heel here. And so glitched out. So again, combination, exporting, all sorts of experimentation here. I'm loving it. To quote McDonald's there, Crystal Chunk Pump, edition of 1. Let's just see what that sold for. 50 Tezos to Explainer Gallery, right on. Explainer Gallery on the scene. I love it. So this is Mika Aladef, who I hadn't seen before. And so I guess does some glitch work as well. Kind of harmonizes quite well with Sky Goodman, doesn't it? So kind of a natural collaboration there. And I brought this up here, this Heel Sync Malfunction module. Today's the day Lost Sneakers presents a Sky times Mika Aladef. No description here. There it is, actually. A glitch 3D artist. And an animated GLB for 12 Tezos, but really so much more. And here's a nice little kind of preview here. And I also brought up so that's pretty cool. So you see the Sky Goodman within this little, really kind of reminiscent of the Hasdrubal Waffle drawing tool. Remember that crazy drawing tool that looked like it was ordered off eBay? Kind of looks like one of those. And I also brought that up here. Well, maybe it didn't load. Having issues with loading the page here. We might have to move on, but we saw a pretty good view of it. And it looks like it's sold out. It is sold out at 12 Tezos. There's Explainer again, Again, like it's quite interesting, here it is, the liquidity on Tezos. I mean, there are a lot of sales on Tezos. I mean, if you just, didn't see Twitter and didn't see what was happening on Ethereum or anywhere else, you'd see a lower Tezos price, but I still see sales. Like my point is, I'm not sure I know that there's a bear market going on. Everybody's selling their work, not everybody, but you know what I'm saying? So, and selling out. So again, like a lot to be grateful for. 12 Tezos, edition of 20, that's 240 Tezos, 120 Tezos each. I'm sort of like, if you get like 100 Tezos or close to $80 or $100 US for your work, it's a good day. It's a good day. So very cool here. And you see, I really like the back too. And I thought just really nicely done. Almost again, this story in a story type composition. Screen in a screen. Interestingly, really beautifully done there. And here is Mikael Noelsen. The reason you're watching this show right now is because Mikael Noelsen at the very beginning was encouraging the two Spotify episodes I did, do it on YouTube. So here it is, who is abstract artist, kind of like abstract expressionism, kind of digital abstract expressionism, and I believe mints on Solana. So here, yeah, so give Mikael Noelsen a follow and just a really cool work they posted. I think it's an older work, but you can see the sampled brush strokes that are dragged and everything, just cool art. I think Sabato was mentioning there's a lot of abstract expressionism on Solana, and it's kind of true. It's got that feel to it. And collectors over there. We'll see if this loads, and this is Ivan Ovmovd, and there's this really cool cowboy series. It was Mikey Wilson that retweeted this, that brought this to my attention. It crossed my desk here, and here it is, kind of almost reminiscent. This would hang well with Mikey Wilson's blues players, wouldn't it? You have these cowboys here. So this was an entire series. I think it's AI. It must be AI, but it doesn't say actually. So I'm not entirely sure. Oh, minted by Mikey Wilson. This is Mikey Wilson. Maybe this is... So Mikey Wilson bought this. There we go. Mikey Wilson bought this, but he's not the artist. The artist is Ivano Muvt, as we were saying before. And here you see all 40 of these cowboys here. So selling, looks like, again, I'm kind of back to this, like, is this really a bear market? 0.035 ETH? I mean, what is that? 0.01 is maybe 20, like maybe this is 35. I'm not sure how much this is. 0.01 would be $20. So this would be like $75. Selling out an edition of 40, or 38 of 40 have been minted. So basically sold out. I mean, for a bear market, what's going to happen? This is kind of like my Grand Friday question for us into the weekend. If we're selling, this much in a pretty brutal bear market, what's happening if it comes back? What happens in a bull market? I mean, that'll be wild. That will be very, very wild. And continuing on here, Venta, another work, another just fascinating AI artist here, putting out, pretty regular work here, pretty prolific, selling out at 8 Tezos each, just interesting colors here too. And so I heard there's going to be a new Midjourney 6 coming out. So don't miss the train with Midjourney. I'm starting to use it more and more. You know how you can tell you're really using it? When it becomes your first tool that you bring out when you start working, and you can do it all on your phone, on Discord. That's a lot of fun. So very cool here. The Red Room by Venta, continuing that kind of similar vibe and series that we saw before. As we wait for each page to load here, and strange thing with a really cool mouse, a very cool mouse. So more juxtapositions here. What is this? Is this a mouse? It probably is. Computer mice collection. Look at that. Really nice. You could see this design here. It actually just outrageously luxury mouses here. You could actually see these working here. So very cool work from Strange Thing as ever. Breaking new ground, like literally daily. And continuing on Quilanina with some physical art here. Acrylic and oil painting, The Fire, inspired by the tarot card, The Tower. So very cool work here as usual. Again, reminiscent of that great artist whose name I always forget. The guy where almost like the upside down guy. What is his name? I always forget his name. It's hilarious. Anyway, something to point out here that is quite unusual and cool is this yellow sky. It's not often you see a yellow sky, and even just like the irrationality of this figure in this burning building. I guess this is the tower with the lightning hitting, and this, again, yellow sky. This bird here. Maybe this is a self-portrait, perhaps, of Quila Nina. Oh, these kind of mystical works here. There's a really interesting snake. Beautiful work, El Incendio. And finally here, Joao Salazar with some beautiful painting. We know Joao from the Plasticine canvas works. Turns out Joao can paint quite beautifully too. And you'd almost, what's kind of cool about it is how you totally recognize the artist, even though it's done with a different medium. More just really, really nice work. GM from Joao. And of course, we know Walk here. And I thought this was just, again, virtuoso in the eyes. It almost looks photographic. It almost looks photographic, what's achieved here with basically 2 colors of spray paint, maybe 3. Really, really beautiful. Probably 2. Go quickly, travel safely, my young friend, to the land of ghosts. And that, my friends, is your show. Thank you for joining me. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Thank you for your time. Until next time, take care. This is the Pixel Art Network signing off.